we just got home from the PlayStation press conference, which is the final major press conference of E3 this year. And it was a really big one. There's a new God of War, there was Naked Norman Reedus, don't ask. But of course the big thing that's happening this year for Sony is PlayStation VR. They gave us a firm release date, October 13th. It's got $400, $500 if you need all the accessories, so it's not too expensive. And we got to see like a lot of the launch lineup. And you actually got to see like the bigger games too. What was that like?
Right, so I got to see a couple of the big games, and they sort of show the two different tacks you can take with this. The first one is an Arkham VR game, and the whole idea is that it's sort of supplemental to the entire Arkham series. It's a really short, they said maybe an hour, maybe two if you're looking for all the Easter eggs, experience that's just sort of like the detective vision, and you're solving a little crime. And then there's Resident Evil, which takes the total opposite tack and says that this is the entire game, it's the same in VR or outside VR. But inside VR, it's kind of like the kitchen demo that everybody loved last year. It's creepy, and you just get to have this extra little thing on your horror experience.
And I felt the same way when I was doing Final Fantasy. Like, it's an add-on that's like kind of a shooter, and then like a little ride. It's really just a tech demo that they're adding to the game. That's nice, it's nice and additive, I guess, if you're buying the full game anyway. But it didn't really justify why you'd spend even $400 to do the PlayStation VR, like, get that. There are a couple games that did seem to like own up in a really well way. It was mostly the indie games. Soar was a nice, like, just fun experience. I don't know how long it would be enjoyable, I enjoyed it. Psychonauts is a great point and click adventure. I wouldn't pay $400 to get a whole headset for it, but I really did like it, and if I have it, I'm definitely picking it up.
Right, and there's another game I played which is Farpoint, which theoretically is the middle ground for this. It's sort of like a space shooter. You have to buy a new peripheral that's a gun peripheral to use with it. And it theoretically could be good, but it also just feels sort of in tech demo stage. It's not clear to me that it feels like a thing that I would want to buy two whole new peripherals for.
But at least Sony can make the argument, and this is what I think is like the best part about the PlayStation VR, is that I think it's the most likely to succeed. A lot of people already have a PlayStation 4, so you're not asking them to invest a lot. If the accessory works, awesome. If it doesn't, fine. But Sony can also, it has the known franchises. It can write those checks. You know, Oculus, you're starting fresh with a lot of new games. Ditto, Vive, a lot of tech demos. Sony can just write checks and say, hey, give us a Batman thing. You know it's exciting. And if they can build a consumer base, which I think is the most important part of this, if they're building a consumer base, the gamers and the developers will probably just flock to it. Like, it's that chicken and the egg problem. I think Sony's got a better head start than most of them.
Right, and it doesn't take that much mental effort to buy a PlayStation VR and just plug it into your PlayStation. It feels like plugging in a peripheral instead of setting up an entire operating system, basically, is what the Rift and the Vive feel like. The thing I'm worried about is that it's going to make Sony feel, I don't know, complacent. That I think that's what I'm worried some of these games feel like, is that they knew, okay, people are gonna get really excited about Final Fantasy or Batman. We don't really have to make a game, we just have to have a thing that has the properties of that franchise. And I really hope that's not the case, because they could do some really exciting stuff.